Hang on.
Radio.
Start again.
Okay, what is it saying? Stop.
No,
Okay.
don't just stop. No, you're fine. Just
Okay.
start. There you go.
This is Half Past Dead Paranormal Radio. We are doing our first live premiere on YouTube, and yes, I'm nervous. I have. We are doing our first live premiere on YouTube. Okay, there's. Okay, hold on. Yes, there it is. I have. There we go. Okay. All right, sorry about that, you guys. I had to go over and stop that thing, or it was going to drive me nuts. Um, I want to give a special thanks out to my guest tonight, Mr. Jeffrey Kelley, who helped me set all this up because I had no clue what I was doing. Uh, he's a world of information, you guys, not just on paranormal and cryptids, but on how to set up a video.
Not a problem. I just wanted to see you get off of Blog Talk. It's a dying market, and they just restrict you way too much. Welcome to YouTube, where everything's exciting, and you can believe everything you see.
And some things you don't. Well, Blog Talk's got a bad audio thing. I mean, it's not really, and they do constrict a lot, but the audio is just terrible.
Dude, I've seen so many shows drop off of Blog Talk. And I mean, like Blog Talk will just drop the show in the middle of it, and everybody has to call back in and get back on the air. I have seen so many technical glitches with Blog Talk, which is one of the reasons that when I started my show, I didn't go to Blog Talk. I went directly to YouTube and went live with Google Hangout. Nobody else was doing that. I believe the After Hours show was doing that, but he was recording it and putting it up later. So, I mean, we're really one of the only live broadcast Bigfoot shows in the market, and everybody else has kind of copied it from there, and I appreciate that. The more shows, the merrier.
Well, not only that, but it gives you kudos to the work you put into it. So, I mean, that's good. I have to apologize, you guys. The chat room is in a different page, and I would have to swap back and forth here to do that. So I may not be in there that much. Uh, you and I did an interview a while ago.
Sometime last year, probably early last year, I think it was.
We mainly just talked about your Bigfoot excursions and stuff like that. What we're going to do tonight, you guys, is we're going to talk about Bigfoot a little bit because I love Bigfoot, and we're also going to talk about paranormal aspects, ghost hauntings and all this kind of stuff. So it should be interesting. Now we're going to start this off with kind of where you've gone to since the last time when we did the other interview. I kind of, a little update catch up thing.
Yeah, we've actually had a whole nother season of Bigfooting since we last talked. I moved out here to California and got involved with the guy from the movie Dead Bigfoot. His name is Justin. And it's the story of a young hunter, I guess he was 26 at the time, who had an encounter with a big Bigfoot that he had come across while they were bear hunting, and took a shot at it. Unfortunately, the big one didn't go down, but while they were looking for the big one, and it was definitely wounded, two little ones came out, and through events, he shot the little one because nobody was going to believe him of the story. Well, the partner he was with decided, no, we're not taking this with me. You're not putting that in my truck. We got to bury this thing here. For all we know, the game warden's right around the corner, and we've been drinking, and that's just the end of it. We got to bury this thing. We'll come back and get it later. So if you want to know the rest of that story, you can go out to youtube.com and search for Dead Bigfoot. Watch the movie. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. It's a fantastic story about a director, a producer who caught the story and followed it all the way to fruition, and that's his movie about it. And it's actually fantastic, and it's a good movie about my friend Justin. So anyhow, he and I and a couple of other good friends, I don't really mention them on there because they're not on Facebook. They're not part of that social media thing. They're just interested in hunting, Bigfoot hunting enthusiasts. We get together quite a few times throughout the season and really hunt the Sierras to try and either capture a good video of this thing, or if we get another clean shot, you can pretty much guarantee that we'll have an animal on the table. And that's really what Bigfooting has come down to. There's enough footprint evidence, there's enough hair evidence, there's enough unknown DNA evidence that the only thing that's going to solve it at this point is a body on the table.
And I've heard that one before. Not that I agree with it. We talked about that before.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with somebody harvesting animals, and I'm talking multiple animals. We can't just have one sample. The sample is a basis. We need multiple samples. If we sacrifice 4 or 5 or 6 or a dozen of these creatures, they'll save the rest of the species. And really, in the way I look at it nowadays, and once upon a time, no, I was really completely against killing one of these things. But now, in the real scientific aspect of what we're trying to do in Bigfoot investigations and what some of these real researchers are doing out there, it really is getting down to a scientific thing. That's the only way it's going to get solved, because no one wants to invest money into the investigations because Bigfoot isn't real. But the moment it becomes real, then there's so much money being thrown at it, and the professionals step in, and the people who can, who have the $100 million thermal budgets can put out 10 of those trucks on a mountainside and find and track these animals. We'll know a whole lot more about them. We'll be able to set up preserves for them. We'll be able to protect the environment in which they live. What does that do? It shuts down logging for a long time. But to be honest with you, logging is actually a time to be over. We now have hemp again. I mean, hemp's been around forever, but we're now getting around to the point where the feds are finally going to at least decriminalize, if not legalize, marijuana and hemp products in the United States of America, and it's about damn time, to be honest with you. Hemp products alone, if you can make it out of hemp. That means toilet paper, that means legal pads, that means anything that's made out of paper can be made out of hemp. We can stop cutting down trees to wipe our asses. That's what happens the moment Bigfoot gets discovered and proven. And
so
I'm on board with it.
If you can you use hemp though to make lumber and stuff like that?
Absolutely. You can make hempcrete, for God's sakes. If you can make it out of hemp. You can make laminated sheets of hemp fibers into a 2x4 like structure that is far stronger and will outlast lumber until your face is blue and screaming up and down that it's not. I mean, it literally, in England right now, they are building entire complexes out of hempcrete. Okay. Here's the difference between hemp and wood. I have a coal plant over here that's generating electricity at dumping billions of carbon, just bad shit into bad stuff into the environment every moment of every day. If I plant a giant hemp field next to that, it sucks all that bad stuff out of the air as it grows. Then we cut it down and we use that hemp for something. We turn it into something. That actually locks all of that bad crap that is scrubbed out of the air away for as long as it's turned into that product. So if we turn it into hempcrete and it lasts 300 years, the carbon is actually deteriorated by the time that product has gone away. Yes, we can make anything out of hemp. Clothing, fibers. I mean, it's ridiculous how versatile this plant is and why it was actually abandoned in the 1920s. There's a long story about that, and I'm not going to get into it because the hippies out here will love me for it, but that's not what this show is about. It's about Bigfooting. Last year, May, we came up and we put out the word that we were going to have a public camp out here in the Sierras for anybody that either wanted to fly in, drive in, be part of the action, and we actually had quite a few people in camp that following June. May, we went up there, and it rained on us for 3 days. We found a couple of new locations to actually start to investigate. And then June, we had the camp out, and one of our attendees, Jonathan, who literally was a trooper, stayed up throughout the entire night and very well could have seen a thermal, seen a Bigfoot through the thermal that was there that we had on site. You can actually check out his story at YouTube. If you go to YouTube and search for "I Saw Bigfoot," that's actually Jonathan's story, and It has some of the audio and the video from that particular night. Unfortunately, the camera he was trying to take video from through the thermal didn't line up enough to actually catch anything. But we also had another person in camp that thought that there was a Bigfoot standing out there looking at us, that he almost shot at it. So, it very well could have actually happened. Who knows? We were in Bigfoot territory. We were in the right place at the right time with lots of resources, and we were being attractive to animals. So who knows what could have come into camp and looked at us? That's actually what we try to do. More so than go out and try and hunt down and track the Bigfoot, we actually try to put ourselves in Bigfoot habitat and let them come look at us. That tends to
And,
be a lot more successful.
and they do tend to be curious, so they would do that.
Well, yeah, that's the thing with Bigfoot. I mean, people say, "What's a Bigfoot?" Bigfoot's a yeah. Okay. Where we're on the line with science of thinking of what exactly a Bigfoot is Bigfoot is probably the fifth chimpanzee. We have chimpanzees, and then we have bonobos or bonobos, and then we have billy apes, and then we have humans because humans are the fourth chimpanzee. Bigfoot's probably another along that same line because there was just a giant burst of evolution along that chimpanzee line somewhere in between. And the
So
problem that we can't get the DNA out of them is simply because their DNA in the places that we're looking is so close to human that they come back as human contaminated samples.
what do you think about Gigantopithecus and the Bigfoot thing?
Okay, well, I mean, back in the 70s and 80s when Dr. Meldrum and Dr. Krantz, were putting this buggery together about this Gigantopithecus thing, they were basically just looking through the fossil record for any creature that could fit that description. Once they found it over there in central China in the cave systems, then they had to figure out a way to get it to America. So the thinking was flawed from the beginning. They were just guessing at what it could be and then trying to fit the fable to mask it to work. And unfortunately for them, people are smarter than that, and we've pretty much abandoned the whole he hasn't, but the Bigfoot investigation world has pretty much abandoned the fact that they're probably not a giant bamboo eating teddy bear monster from central China. Um, they're probably just another type of upright walking chimpanzee, just like humans were, that wandered their way onto this continent at some point. We go through a lot of the things called Bigfoot around the world in our seasons on the Squatchers Lounge podcast. If you watch those episodes, we actually take the time and show you where all these stories come from different parts of the world. And what's neat about that is there's literally a green belt of travel that leaves out of Central Africa and spreads around the world. It's the same way that humans spread around the world. There's no reason that a Sasquatch type creature couldn't have walked out with humans and just become different things as they spread around the world, just as though the Denisovans man and Homo erectus, Homo sapien were all around at the same time. They became different things. Right. Homo florensis, they all became different things by going to different places. Who's to say that when the Bigfoot type creature walked out with us, didn't become different things in the different regions that he moved into?
Well, and they all adapt to their surroundings.
And that's what makes the evolution of them change and become something else.
Right.
So the Yeti versus the Bigfoot versus, that's why they would have different descriptions, but yet they could still be linked back to the same upright walking primate that walked out of Africa at the same time that we did. We were leaving for a reason. I would assume that the rest of the primates were probably pretty smart in leaving too.
And of course they crossed the land bridge, which is no longer there. So
Well, yeah, and who's to say how long Sasquatch has actually been on the North American continent? He could far outdate humans here. We don't know. He could have come across on an ice age. He's a large, hairy, upright walking creature. Could have very well walked across a nice bridge and that's the things we don't know until we have samples and can get the DNA and find out what it is. I mean, DNA tells a lot about where things come from.
Well, it's interesting that you said that, because when you think about Native Americans are supposedly the first people to live on this, in this continent.
Right.
And all the different Native American tribes have something about a giant hairy creature.
And it goes back, the stories of Sasquatch here, just in America, definitely go back. Cave art here in California. by verbal tales in the Cherokee for, grandfathers upon grandfathers upon grandfathers tenfold back. I mean, as long as there were stories of hairy men in the Cherokees. Don't stray from the fire or the hairy man will get you. He'll
Right.
kill the children and rape the women. I mean, those were stories that I grew up with because most of my native family is Cherokee that I spent most of my time with. We were always told, be home before dark because hairy man's watching no matter where you go in the Cherokee. And now in the Cherokee Mountains there's a gazillion actual recent stories of Bigfoot sightings. So you go from one extreme to the other. The Native American stories were there to truthfully keep their tribe in line, but in the same token, they had to have been based somewhere.
Exactly. We kind of strayed off a little bit. We were talking about your updates, and we just went all into this. But I mean, it's all interesting.
All right. We didn't really have a giant. We didn't have a whole lot of eventful season this year, to be honest. We found some tracks, which is good. I mean, we know our area is still active, but it is so vast, Roger. I mean, we're literally talking about a needle in a haystack and a stack of haystacks and a stack of needles. I mean, it's just you can't fathom the size of it until you realize that you're standing on the side of a mountain and you're a speck. I mean, you're literally just a speck in the vast wilderness that you're sitting in, that if nobody knew you were there, you would die and rot before anyone even cared that you were gone. I mean, you're that deep in. So it gets more difficult, but we did talk to a lot of witnesses this year that had sightings up there. I wouldn't call them encounters. Everybody wants to call it an encounter. I saw a Bigfoot on a hill from 1,000 yards away. Have me a Bigfoot encounter. No, you had a Bigfoot sighting. Bigfoot encounters when he comes up and he wrecks your camp, or he moons you in your car. Something like that is a Bigfoot encounter. But you seen him 1,000 yards away, or your cousin's second uncle saw one driving home in his car. That's a Bigfoot sighting. Bigfoot coming up and peeing on your tent, that's a Bigfoot encounter. I'd say if Bigfoot peed on you, you can go with the encounter thing. But everybody wants to have an encounter these days, and that's why a lot of enthusiasts bomb to the woods. That's what they want. And we've run into people squatching, like just average friggin' Joe watching, finding Bigfoot, think they're just going to get a bunch of guys together and go squatching, and then they get up there and realize it's so dark. And it's so crazy that, oh man, don't make no sounds. Don't do no tree knocks. Don't do that. I mean, they really kind of puss out.
Well, it's kind of like whenever you have a group of people who watch ghost hunting shows on TV and they want to run out there and do it themselves, and they have no experience and they don't know what.
It's all fun and games until the ghost shows up.
Exactly, or something that they didn't expect shows up.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's all fun and games till Bigfoot shows up. And, I've been out there where Bigfoot's been 40 yards from camp. We got a whoop. There were 9 of us sitting broad daylight, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Didn't have an audio recorder running because who runs a Bigfoot audio recorder in the middle of the day? We're all sitting around like making snacks at the fire. And all of a sudden we hear, whoop, right 40 yards behind us. I mean, if it was a cop chirping his siren behind you in a car, that's how loud it was. And I was like, now why would a Bigfoot do that? I was like, that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So I started looking at chimpanzee behaviors, and so wild chimpanzee behaviors, not these things that they have in the orphanages and the rescues and things. And what they do is they go out, the wild chimpanzees go out on patrol. And 1 or 2 or 3 of them, they'll go out and they'll patrol the area in which the families are living in right now. And that's an alert call. If they come across something that they want to alert the tribe to, they give off a whoop like that. And all of a sudden, now here I am in the Sierras, and I get a chimpanzee alert call. What am I to think? It's definitely none of us. We are all accounted for and actually in eyeball sight, except for one guy who was in the trailer directly in my eyeball sight below cooking. And he didn't even hear the sound because he was so noisy in the damn trailer. So, I mean, those are the things that happened. And that night, all of a sudden, those guys were like, yeah, let's not be so boisterous around here tonight. And I'm like, dude, he was already in camp, bruh. If he wants to come back tonight, there's nothing you being quiet is going to change his mind about. And I think a lot of times that's what happens is you get discovered while they're on a border patrol. And then at night, the family comes back and go, all right, why are these hairless apes sitting around this fire and they're not running from it? And then the fun ensues. We all run around the friggin' woods with thermal cameras, trying to, night vision cameras, trying to get trying to get video of Bigfoot, and that's going to end up getting somebody hurt, killed, or maimed. I mean, it really, because I don't want to quarter a Bigfoot without having a large friggin' weapon to take him out with.
Well, there's no law that says you have to run around in the dark with thermal cameras.
No, there isn't. But to prove it to people that these things are happening up there, the only way they'll believe it is if they see it on video. Audio doesn't seem to be good enough for these people. There's plenty of audio Bigfoot.
You can video Bigfoot in the daytime.
Yeah, well, that does become a bit more difficult, to be honest with you. It can happen, but
not as easily, but you can do it. Is what I'm saying.
Well, if we knew how to get their attention in the daytime, it would be one thing. But it's actually easier to get them on thermal than it is to get them on video, because they stick out like a sore thumb on thermal at night. If you go out and you search for the Sierra Evidence Initiative, they have a website, and you can check it out. It's Bart Catino and a bunch of other guys that were absolutely up at this site with the same guy, where they 100%, no doubt about it, have at least 1, 2, or even 3 Sasquatch on thermal 35 yards outside of camp in a cluster of trees, watching armed humans interact around a fireplace. They were all at the fireplace, and Bart had gotten out and walked around the long trail, and this is just something that they do. He shot back towards camp and caught these things sticking out like sore thumbs. And for more than 20 minutes, he was able to digital video on this thermal device, these Sasquatch literally moving from one tree to another tree and doing strange actions while spying on these humans in this camp. In the daytime, you can put your thermal up, but everything looks hot. So that's why at nighttime it does become much more easier to use the thermal cameras to try and spot what's going on. That's why we do it.
Well, I mean, I was just bringing up the fact that, it'd be less dangerous running around in the daylight.
We totally understand that. Yes, it would. But unfortunately for us, it becomes almost impossible to find these things in the daytime. We don't know where they nest. We don't know where they sleep. They obviously don't sleep in the same place all the time, because we don't find evidence of them sleeping in these places, or we'd be able to put game cams on them and find them. That's the way game cameras work. I don't know how Bigfooters use them. Most of the people say, I think this place looks squatchy, so they put up a game camera. I ain't got no muck camera yet. You haven't got anything, no animals, no nothing, then your camera's in the wrong friggin' place. The way game cameras work is you find tracks of something, then you put a game camera on that trail that those tracks were on to find out what made the tracks. If you've never found a Bigfoot tracks, you can't expect to catch a Bigfoot on your game camera. Just plain and simple. So if you want to get wildlife, go put up a game camera, watch all the wildlife you want. But if you want to get Bigfoot on a game cam, you better have found some Bigfoot tracks first.
Now, do they, because you know how deer will run a certain trail, other animals will use a certain trail. Does the Bigfoot, if they're living in an area, do they use like a certain trail?
Well, that's the thing with the Sasquatch, is the Sasquatch seems to work like a predator. And what a predator does is a predator stays 500 feet above the vegetable food line. So whatever the vegetarians and the omnivores are down there eating on, they're eating the berries, they're eating the wild grasses, they're eating whatever. Sasquatches, wolves, things that hunt, like that type of thing, they tend to stand back and watch all those animals to figure out what's going on. And then I would honestly say 9 times out of 10, just like with most things, now a pack of wolves will hunt and take down a deer, but I've never really found evidence of a Sasquatch taking down a deer. I found evidence of Sasquatch passing a deer, going past a deer carcass, around a deer carcass, but no real big trauma to a deer with big footprints like all around it, as you would expect would have to happen if a Bigfoot ran after a deer, snatched it by its head, and broke its neck. You would think that there would just be a long line of Bigfoot tracks and deer. There would be a murder site. that you'd be able to investigate if that was the case. So we honestly think that the Sasquatch are probably more they're more herbivore than they are meat eaters. They probably eat far more vegetable matter than they do meat. The meat they eat is probably more towards the fall to fatten up for winter, and they're probably scavengers. We tend to find that they travel in and around coyote packs. So when the coyotes are feasting on a carcass, that must mean it's good enough to eat. I'm sure a Sasquatch is mean enough to go in there and kick those coyotes off of that carcass, pick it up, and walk away with it.
Right.
What are those coyotes going to do about it? You know, a couple of good kicks with them big old Bigfoot, and I don't think the coyotes are going to want to come back for more. So, you know, I think that's going to happen more often than not in the case of Sasquatch eating large amounts of meat.
So basically, though, you would say that they would use the trail most used by the other animals.
I would, yeah. If you find predator trails, that's where I would look for Sasquatch tracks. Is along the predator trails. They're not usually right on the meal tracks, the trails. You know, predators don't do that. They don't really. You usually don't find pictures of wolves following deer trails. And why is that? You know, there's wolves and deers in the same area. Well, because wolves are using a little bit different, less traveled path than what all those vegetable eaters are doing.
I got to tell everybody in the chat room, this is different. I know you guys are used to having breaks and stuff like that, but we don't.
Yeah, you don't have any of that commercial interruption crap. None of that stuff.
I don't have an option to do a pause break. So if you guys need to,
so you got to pee. Take a pee. That's not our problem. That's your problem.
Go. If you need to get something to drink, do that.
This is a podcast. See, the way this works is it'll be live later. So if you missed anything, you can go back and catch up.
You can always go back and listen to it again.
That's how it works.
But I do appreciate all you guys coming. Sorry I can't bounce over there and chat with you, but if I do, then it removes me from the video feed, and I'm still learning how all this works. So bear with me.
Exactly.
But now,
you are listening to Half Past Dead Radio.
Yes, you are. And this is our YouTube premiere. I hope you guys are enjoying the show so far. Bigfoot, you've heard all the stories, interdimensional, brought by the aliens, you know. UFOs show up everywhere you see a Bigfoot. I don't personally really think I would believe that. Now, I don't know if you have a parallel, and we do know that there are parallel universes, but if it's anything like you see in you know, in these sci-fi shows and stuff where you got a parallel universe that's exactly like this one, but maybe on the other side, you know, you would be
I want to be evil. I want to be
evil. You would be the opposite. Luther. You would be the opposite of what you are here. So if you're a good, upstanding Joe over here, you're going to be a real Billy Badass, pardon my language, over there.
Be the Reverend Jeff Cartel.
Okay, now since I brought that up, if Bigfoot was transversing from, say, a parallel universe, over there he might be, you know, a real threat.
Oh, don't be. Well, see, here's the thing. Bigfoot's paranormal enough just being in a 7 to 9 foot tall, hairy primate living in the North American woods. You don't have to add in mind speak, baby snatching UFOs or portals. There is literally people. I'm going to share this with you because this is something I'm passionate about. A lot of these things, and a lot of these things do actually bother me. I don't live Bigfoot. I have a real life. You know, I don't live this world like a lot of people do. But there is a doctor, literally Dr. Johnson in Oregon, who is laying claim that a portal is opening up on the side of a mountain in Oregon and little hairy demon things are interacting with them, and they're able to shut it off with a flashlight. Now, just the amount of power that exchange that would happen for us to look into a different dimension with a different sky and different vegetation, you would have so many energy systems going off that the military would be climbing that mountain in a matter of minutes to find out what the hell happened.
Exactly.
But according to him, it's all powered by the Oregon Mystery Funhouse and Vortex. So a couple of the guys from the Bluff Creek Project decided to get on their high horse and take a ride on up, and they literally found the exact location that this so-called doctor who has been lying about this stuff for so long was investigating. There's no evidence of anything. Flat out, period. Evidence of no portal, evidence of no demon squatch, evidence of nothing but this man's deluded storytelling, who he's gotten other people to participate in and lie as well. I don't know whether they're delusional. I don't know if they don't want to tell the emperor that he's actually naked and not wearing new clothes. But whatever the case may be, he's going to start up in another location and claim that a portal opens there next. So beware of what you follow into in the Bigfoot world. The rabbit hole goes very deep, and there is definitely a jackass at the bottom of it.
There's just so many different stories, you know what I'm saying, that all claim all this stuff.
Okay.
Now,
if I saw a Bigfoot and a UFO in the same night, I would never relate one to the other.
Even
unless I saw the Bigfoot come out of the UFO.
Come out of the UFO, yeah.
Because otherwise I think, damn, Biggie's like, what up, yo? There's a damn UFO. You see that crap? That's crazy. I know, Biggie. I mean, yeah, that's a UFO. Let's get out of here. I mean, personally, if the UFO lands and they don't look like anal probing, like want to eat me kind of aliens, I'm going with them. I'm getting off this rock. I'm done. I'm done with humankind. Y'all can keep it. I mean, it's so disappointing what humans have turned into that I'd like to go see what the rest of the galaxy is like. Please rescue me from these humans. I mean, I hate to put it that way, but it really is true. I mean, we used to be great. We could be great once again. But college students who need a safe place because words hurt just makes me want to pop their heads like grapes. It just makes me want to pop their heads like little, just dead. You're not worth living anymore. I mean, well, you inbred little wannabe. Oh,
go back several years, and you had college kids their age fighting in the military and war.
We still do.
Now
we still have kids directly out of high school going right into boot camp. Some matter of fact, Doug Hudson's boy from Clone FX, KLONEFX.com. His son did basic training in his junior summer of high school. So his basic training is done. He went back to school to finish his senior year. He gets out for 1 week to party with his family that he graduated in high school, and then he's going to AIT. Well, not AIT, and advanced individual training, I guess is what it's called these days. I mean, that's literally where he's going to at 18 and a half years old. Whoa. They still do it. These little punk-ass kids are the privileged little bastards of rich people who have never been taught what the world's a horrible place. We need to stop teaching children that you're a special little flower. You are not a snowflake. You are simply a cog in the wheel that makes things go around. Your private time is your private time, but when you're out in public, you need to man up, grow a pair, and act like you matter as much as everyone else, not more. These kids think that they matter more than anybody else around them, and I got news for you. You only have rights until your rights encroach on mine. And the moment your rights encroach on mine, your rights no matter.
Well, the whole rights thing is going down the well in a handbasket anyway.
We could do a conspiracy night one night, Roger. That would actually be a lot of fun.
We may do that. We may do that. Because, I mean, we're losing more and more of our rights every day. And I don't want to get off on a whole,
The
political.
only people that are trying to take your rights away from you are the federal government. And the federal government has no ability to take away your rights.
No,
Your
no.
sovereign state is the one that's allowing the federal government to do that.
Legally, they don't. But
No, not even a little bit.
whenever you got all the tree huggers over here crying, and you got, all this going on, and then everybody else is afraid to stand up.
I mean, I'm like this as far as you want to bring that kind of thing up for just a moment, like gun control. I have no problem with gun control, honestly, with you, because I have the knowledge that even if you walked door to door to door and took every gun away from every legal citizen that had the ability to own one, you could never confiscate all the ammunition. And I'm the type of person that can go to Home Depot and buy things to make that ammunition go bang. You can't take guns off the street. You need to take criminals off the street, do the proper job. They have all these laws, they're not enforcing. How many times do I need to hear that this is his third violent criminal, or his third violent felony? Really? You wait till he has 3 violent felonies before you put him in jail forever? No, that's not the way that works. But you'll put a kid who got caught with a half ounce of pot in jail for, 5 years. That's just, we got to stop this crap, Roger. I mean, really just got to stop letting the bureaucrats run the boat and get the things back into people's hands. But let's go back to Bigfoot and ghosts, because that's a whole lot more fun to talk about.
Yeah, it is, ain't it? Okay.
So, yeah, last year wrapped up with the snow coming early for us. We're getting a lot of snow. We're actually getting a lot of snow this year. So California might not go back to normal, but our Bigfoot hunting zone probably will, because that's ultimately what our problem was last year, was the fact that the locations that we normally hunt in were just so dead that they're not dead from things, just dead. Like the grass was dead. All the plants were dead. There was no water. That we would find green oases here and there, and then we would go sit on those oases because everything had to come visit it for water. If something was in the area, and it needed a large source of water like a large primate would, a large primate can't get away with a little trickle of water like a cat could. A mountain lion can live on just a little trickle of water coming out of a rock for probably a few days before it has to move on. A Bigfoot wouldn't be able to do that. He's going to need 2 gallons of water a day. That's how much a Bigfoot's going to have to intake to be healthy. 2 gallons of water. So where do you get 2 gallons of water? Well, you get 3/4 of a gallon of water from your food, from all the vegetables that you eat. You get a lot of water in vegetation when you're eating that, and that's what we're assuming they're doing. So, but you still have to sit somewhere and drink for a while. So we're assuming at some point during the day or night, these things are visiting large water sources and, taking giant hand scoops of water and taking in as much water as they can probably possibly absorb at those times. Those are the areas that we're starting to hone in on. We have to find those locations, mark them, not necessarily put a camera directly on them. What we found these days is you actually get far more information if you back your camera away from the direct information you want. So instead of putting it,
made me think of the trail cameras you were talking about.
Right.
If you have an oasis thing like that, I would want to put my trail camera on something away from that.
Right. You want to put it up on the hill. You want to watch this from a distance, and you want to set your trail camera up to just take a picture every 10 or 20 seconds.
And
don't let it take any pictures at night, because it's not going to really see anything at night. So don't bother. Just let it run during the daytime. Take a picture every 10 or 20 seconds. And with these modern cameras, you'll get 10 or 20,000 pictures. It'll run for a month before you have to go out there and replace the batteries in it and change the card. And you'll get all the information about that oasis you would ever really want. The pictures are probably 25 megabytes, so you can blow them up huge and look close in on that oasis and see what's coming and going. The software is so neat these days that it actually runs through the pictures until something moves. When it moves, it stops and it puts a square around it.
Right.
And that'll actually allow you to zoom in further and pay attention to what's going on in that particular. I mean, they really are set up to do these types of things. But yeah, the days of just strapping a camera at 4 feet off of, directly at the trail, pointing, at stuff coming and going, literally need to be over because that stuff wasn't working.
Well, I
So,
would think just, and this is just my opinion here because I know how animals act around here. If you bring something, that's like if you put up a deer blind somewhere. You don't put that deer blind up and go straight into it that day.
no, you put it up weeks before. Yeah.
Give the animals time to get used to it without any human presence around, and then you use your deer blind.
Yeah, we usually we camouflage our cameras. We sent them. They're usually in a hillside carved in. They're literally all that's sticking out is the lens, enough to take those pictures. And because you're not taking the pictures at night, you don't care that you're blocking the flasher on it because it ain't working. Doesn't matter.
Exactly.
The other thing that I tell people is instead of setting them at trail level, if you've actually found Bigfoot tracks going through somewhere and you need an up close or better picture of it, hang the camera high in a tree at an angle that's such that it looks down at your trail. Don't stick it down on the trail so it's flat, static looking at something. Stick it up so that when it goes off, you actually get an overhead view of whatever it was.
Exactly. Makes sense.
You can hang it with a couple of strings on the trees if you need to. Be creative. Stop being lazy about it. I'm tired of people getting picture of moose knees and calling them Sasquatch legs. It's happened 3 or 4 times already this season. People are posting, well, it looks like a Bigfoot leg. Well, unless he shaves and this is it growing back, it sure looks like a moose knuckle to me. And yes, I know what a moose knuckle is, people. I'm not. You are watching Half Past Dead Paranormal Radio with your host, that guy Roger, and I'm the Reverend Jeff.
And we are having fun here.
That's right.
Bigfoot, cameras, the whole 9 yards.
How long is this show tonight, Roger, by the way?
This show is, well, we don't have a dead set time.
No, you can run as long as you'd like, but I have a show to do myself this evening, so that's why I was kind of wondering.
Well, I thought about like running the first 2 or 3 that I do for like maybe an hour, maybe a little longer, hour and a half.
That sounds good. 90 minutes of work. We can keep on going. We can talk ghosts. Yeah, we've talked Bigfoot now for the first 45 minutes.
Ghost yet,
yeah, so we'll talk ghosts for the last 45 minutes of the show, and that sounds like 90 minutes is a good long length for people because that's if y'all got to go pee, tough. Pause the show and go pee. It works.
Normally we ran all the shows at 2 hours, but
that's a long haul.
It's a little bit different when you can't take breaks and you can't do all that stuff. So I understand people need to do things, and I don't want to keep everybody tied up for 2 hours. So we'll probably run about an hour and a half, hour 15 minutes maybe. We want to talk about some ghosts and stuff while we're here.
Oh, most definitely. I like ghosts. Ghosts scare the crap out of me. It's all fun and games till the ghost shows up. I've done some stupid things in my life doing stuff around cemeteries and churches and places that have been known to be haunted. And yeah, I've done some stupid things in those places and gotten some stupid results. So yeah, ghosts. I don't know what ghosts are. That's probably what scares me more than anything. I know what a Bigfoot is. A Bigfoot's a biological creature. It can be harmed. It can be killed. It can be shot. I carry 3 million volts and a big, long 8-inch buck knife on my side. One of the others gonna make that Bigfoot go away. Okay, I can't make a ghost go away. I can't do anything about it. They can't harm me, but I can't make it go away either.
Well, now see, you brought up, what you don't know what ghosts are, and that's a good thing because I don't think anybody really knows what ghosts are. I mean, sure, some of them are probably, entities of people that were real living human beings, but not everything. I don't believe.
I have a shocking memory from when I was a little kid. Now I lived in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, which is the home of the famous flood from the 70s. If you look up 1970s flood of Johnstown, Pennsylvania, you'll find out exactly where I live. And we lived up on the hill in a little side suburb called Oakhurst. Literally hung off the side of a mountain. You went into the house at floor level into the living room, walked through the kitchen and out onto the back porch, and you were 28 feet off the ground. I mean, we were literally built on the side of a mountain. And I only lived there till like fourth grade, so I couldn't have been more than, 6 or 7, maybe 8 when this happened. But it was earlier than that. I was probably 5 years old. And something made me get up out of bed and look out the window. It was wintertime, but there was no snow. Now, in Pennsylvania, in these old-ass houses that were built in the 1800s, they leak like a sieve. So my father had put up really heavy plastic over and around the window frames.
Right.
That's what they do in places where it gets really freaking cold in the wintertime. I don't know exactly when this was, but it was probably before Christmas. Something made me get out of bed. Now, I lived in the bedroom with the door to the attic that things walked up and down all the time. We'll get into that in just a minute. But something in this particular night made me get up out of bed and look out the window. And when I looked out the window, walking up the side of my house, because I was staring down that 28 feet, I'm on the next floor up from where you walk in, looking down, there's this thing made out of what looked like, for lack of a better word, small lightning bolts, like made out of pure electricity, and had yellow electricity eyeballs. And as it was walking in a very weird manner. It looked up at me and stared directly into me, looking down at it. And I freaked out, ran back to my bed, and I slept in a sleeping bag because I didn't want the flea stacks to eat my toes off. That's another story we can tell in a moment. But yeah, I slept in a sleeping bag, and I literally went into the sleeping bag head first. I just was terrified, just absolutely terrified by whatever that was.
So it was okay if that come in and ate your toes?
No, not at all. I mean, I was literally like in the fetal position, rolled up in a ball. I mean, I was a little kid in a full man-sized sleeping bag, rolled up in the bottom of it. Scared to death, and slept there till morning. And my mom came in and found me in this ball of fear in the bottom of the sleeping bag and asked me what happened, and I couldn't tell her. There was no way I could tell my mother that story without her thinking that I was something wrong in the head. She would not have believed me. She would have thought that I was making it up, and I would probably have caught a beating for it. So I didn't tell the story. I just told her, I don't know, something scared me. I just went to sleep here. Because before that incident, and this is where we get into the whole attic thing, as far back as I can remember, they had moved into this house, I think, just before I was born. My brother lived in another room. He had his own room. And this was where my crib was because it was next to my parents' room. So it had always been my room. And from as far back as I can remember, the people walked the stairs. It's just what I remember. The people always walked the stairs. Now, this was a double house at the plateau of a hill, and it was built in, I want to say, I swear to goodness, near Civil War time. I want to say that's how old this freaking place was. And it wasn't a duplex, mind you. This was like the size of 2 houses with one common wall between it. 3 stories tall with a full basement. I mean, it was like probably brothers would have built this house together, and lived there throughout their time. Whatever the case. My uncle lived on the other side of it with his family. They didn't have a ghost problem, a knock, a tink, nothing. They had just calm as could be. But on our side of the house, people walked the stairs, thumps in the attic, and then this electrical thing. And then I don't remember much happening after that because we moved.
Was there any Civil War ties to it?
Not that I know of. I don't think there was a Battle of Johnstown. I mean, lots of our people fought for the North. It was a Yankee. It was, it's a Yankee state. I'm sure that lots and lots of my relatives died in the Civil War fighting for, whatever they want to call it. I later became a Southerner and understood the struggle of the South and what the Civil War was all about. and what it was really over, because you're really taught some skewed shit when you live in the North. Sorry. I mean, really, they teach you, they really teach you some skewed stuff about the Civil War when you come from the North. But living in the South and being really educated in the South, I got a fair look at what the Civil War was about. I'm sure people died in this house. If that's the actual question.
That's what I was getting at.
I am positive from that time to the 1970s, people died in that house. There's no doubt about it. Lots and lots of families lived there. Lots and lots of people lived there. There were lots of bedrooms in there. So the percentage of accountability is, people died. And back in those days, they would have a wake right there in the living room.
Right.
They would put up a table and put dead bodies like right there in the living room, and they'd hang out with them for 3 days. Now, you know what a 3-day wake is for,
they did actually do the thing like the Ray Stevens song, right, where you had to sit up, somebody had to sit up with the dead.
Literally, they would, because in those days, still, it was more the days of prohibition, but this wasn't that far behind the return of that. People would get so blistering balls drunk that they didn't wake up for 3 days, and people were getting buried alive. Yeah. So that's where the 3-day wake had actually come from. But in the 70s, when, in 60s and 50s and 40s, people were embalmed. So they weren't ever coming back to life. I mean, they're dead.
Yeah.
They've been embalmed, but yet these people would still have them in their home for like 3 days. And I don't know, that's creepy. I can get, making sure Uncle Bob doesn't wake up for 3 days. I get that, but, Uncle Jerry's been stuffed with formaldehyde. I don't think he's coming back. Why we got his dead body in the living room? In modern times now, people have wakes at, the funeral parlor.
Right.
Because that's a far more appropriate place to have something like that than in your living room. But yes, I'm sure there were plenty of dead bodies, and I'm sure people probably dropped dead in both sides of that house. But I lived in the haunted room that had the attic door. The attic was creepy. The attic was creepy, man. I mean, it really was. My brother, later on, we had moved out of it, moved to Maryland, got educated, did all those things. My brother had moved back to that town, God only knows why, and bought that house, God only knows why. And he had problem with ghosts. So much so that when he came to Florida on vacation, he brought a little bastard with him. Because we had stuff, just stupid stuff going on at the house. And I actually kind of did a cleansing before he left so that whatever he came with would have to get out with him. As he's going out the door, I'm running the friggin', I'm running with the cleansing smoke, right behind him.
We'll see you next time you come to visit.
That's right, trying to get you out of here. On his way home, it turned on his interior light as they're driving up the interstate like 5 hours later. Both of the side ones that you literally have to push come on. Boom. Just as kind of a hello, I'm with you. And he said that, and I don't know if he still lives in that house or not. We kind of had a falling out, which is kind of sad. But yeah, dude, that house, I've lived in a haunted house. I have my own ghost stories. I've seen some weird things. But even after all of that, in high school, friend talked me into going to a cemetery and messing with a Ouija board on top of a gravestone. And the Ouija board was one of them old wooden ones. So I don't know how old it was. We were in Maryland in tobacco country where people had been on tobacco plantations as long as tobacco had been grown there. So who knows how old this thing really was. And it was a bone pointer with a glass eye, with some kind of a pink glass eye. And after that particular night, I really don't remember ever touching another one of those things. A good friend of mine, Summer Jones, who is in the paranormal world, your paranormal world, with the Alameda Paranormal Group, she is directing and producing a movie called Yes, No, Goodbye, which is all about the Ouija board and experiences and can you believe it. And they did some really risky experiments in the making of that show. in the making of that movie that I haven't even seen a taste of it. She's like, she won't even share a taste of it with me. Alameda Paranormal is the name of that group. You can look them up on Facebook. And yes, no, goodbye is the name of the video that'll be coming out. Another friend of mine, Connor Hopkins of the Ghost Files TV. Those guys did The Lady in White, and I got to see a premiere of that last year, and I got to tell you, that's another one that's really a good watch. And then the other guy I know who does this kind of stuff, I know a lot of people in the paranormal world, is Josh Hurd, who did A Brush with Evil. A Brush with Evil is a story of him and his buddy's investigation into this barn where his friend, through some kind of a paranormal force, was literally launched through a window 10 feet onto the ground. I mean, it's just crazy. And then when they go back to investigate it, even more crazy stuff happens. So A Brush with Evil is another one. And then I got to give a big shout out to my boy, Alejandro Dominguez.
Oh, yeah, he's my
Explorer. Yeah, you got to get well for us, buddy. I mean, he was just in the hospital, scared to the crap out of all of us, thought he was going to die. Had some serious health issues. So God bless him. He's out of the hospital and at home and recovering. And I've known him for a long, long time. I've actually investigated with him here on the USS Hornet on Alameda Island when he was up and hosted that year. It was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, last year when they were in town, I had the death plague. I literally couldn't get out of bed for puking every 14 minutes on the nose. I literally count it down. It was just a horrible, horrible thing. So I missed him the last time he was in town, but when he gets back to the area, we are going to hang out again. But yeah, he's definitely doing with his channel, thedeadexplorer.com. Wow, he's got a lot of good stuff going on. So those are the peeps I got to give shout outs to. Of course, my boy, weslosner.com. If you want some art made, hand painted, buy a cool artist, you want your animal painted, dude does fantastic portrait work. He'll do your pet pretty cheap, cheaper than probably a lot of places you can get it done. You can check his artwork out at weslosner.com. And he's going to be Mendocino Valley is going to be tattooing down there at a shop. I can't remember the shop's name. Shame on me. But that's my co-host for Bigfoot Entertainment Weekly, where we review all those shitty Bigfoot movies that everybody loves to hate.
So, when your brother, when he left, did you tell him, well, I'll see you again soon, take your buddy with you?
Oh, no. We all knew. Well, see, the problem herein is my mother was a very religious woman. She had a personal pipeline to Jesus. She really did. So much so that when she was about to pass away, she asked the pastor what kind of a boat should she tell Jesus to send him, a sailboat or a powerboat. And he said, well, tell Jesus I want a sailboat because I want to sail around the world. Now, boats were never a topic of discussion between this pastor and my mother. It was just in one of her moments of weirdness, she asked the pastor this question. The following Friday, she passed away. On the Saturday, he had a wedding rehearsal, and as a gift to the pastor, they brought him a sailboat.
Huh.
So, it's just one of those things. So Mom was having a hard time really accepting that there was a spirit who was interacting with things in our home while my brother was there, because she would think that God's light would, protect and cover her house so well that, that this thing wouldn't be able to come in. I said, well, if it's not evil, why would he care?
Right.
Not all ghosts are evil. Not all ghosts are bad. Some do stupid stuff just because they want to be noticed, just because they have a message for you that you're not getting. I don't know that ghosts are real. I've had my experiences with the things. Things do go bump in the night. But, I don't know how far. Residual energy, I get that. It's like a record player or a videotape, just playing over and over and over again. So these people who keep seeing these women in Victorian age dresses, walking down through Tombstone, are just seeing energy that's bouncing off of some weird friggin' type of vortex that happens to be in that location. Okay, I get that. We would be able to recognize those spots. But how do we explain when those things happen in somebody's home and then they stop happening in somebody's home?
Well, if you have something in your home, especially if it's something that interacts with you in any kind of way, that is not a residual. That is a definite.
That would be an intelligent haunting.
Yeah. And
Right.
I know that they are real. I know that they exist. I've seen one. Um,
Well, see, that becomes the question: is why don't you see them all the time?
well, when I seen the one that I saw, I was 9 years old.
But did you go back to the same place all the time?
No, this was right next to my house. Uh, my neighbor's mother had passed away, and she walked past me and my little brother on the sidewalk 2 weeks after she passed away.
Okay, so she might have been lingering for a reason, and then
She was calling out for her son. So apparently she was looking for her son.
She had a message. Something needed to be done.
But she looked as real as you do, is what I'm saying. When she walked past us, and she was wearing it, I definitely remember, because the last time I had seen her alive, she was wearing a yellow sundress with red spots on it. Well, when she walked by us that day, she was wearing that same exact dress.
You know, and some people would say, are you sure that your mind did not create that, Roger?
No, my mind did not create that.
Did your little brother see it?
Yes, that's why I'm saying. I know my mind didn't create that.
You know, that becomes, you know, did you recognize that it was her and that she should be dead?
Yes.
Did you talk to her?
No. We ran our little crappy asses in the house and locked the door. I'm saying, no, I didn't ask her anything. We walked past her, and my neighbor's trailer was right next to our house, and she walked past us right there in front of his trailer. We turned into our yard. I turned around, or we both did actually. Nobody was there. And so, yeah, we beat tracks in the house, locked the door. Hey, she ain't coming in here.
Because if I were by myself, I have spooked myself so bad and convinced myself at times that I see something that is not there. I do it in the woods a lot. Thank God for thermal. Okay. I do a lot of my squatching really late at night from my hammock. Why? Because I'm relaxed, I'm resting, and I can hear everything. And when you're listening to everything in the woods at night that could go bump in the night, it does.
Oh, yeah.
So when a dead branch falls out of one of these pine trees that's up 190 feet and comes crashing through its own tree, it literally sounds like a herd of buffalo coming to crash through the brush right next to you to run you over in your hammock at night, because sound carries and gets louder so much that I've launched myself from my hammock with the thermal going, oh my God, what's coming? And then you see something and it's hot and you're like, oh my God, there it is. And you sit there for an hour because it's not moving. And you're just looking through your thermal for an hour and it's still not moving. And you're not brave enough to walk in on it. See, that's where I differ. I'll walk right up to it, and then you realize after an hour looking for it, it's a freaking rock. But it looks and shaped just like a Bigfoot. And if you took that thermal image to somebody, you could probably convince them, too, that it shapes and looks like a Bigfoot so much more that they say it was a Bigfoot. I wonder if that doesn't happen now with a lot of the ghost stuff, is that they get a crappy picture and they go, it looks like something there. Maybe I can get away with it.
Well, I mean, that's like, and I have disagreements with a lot of people over the orb thing. You have so many people that will post all these supposed quote unquote orbs. Oh, well, I know that's a real orb because I can see a face in it.
Yeah, I can see a face in an orb too. Why would there be a face in an orb? I don't understand why there would be a face in an orb.
Because they claim that's the entity. That's the entity in the orb. It's really not an orb. It's an entity in the shape of an orb.
There's really not an orb. It's a piece of dust, but okay.
Yeah, okay. Now see, and
I'm not a big believer in orbs. Orbs are kind of along the whole. If it was an energy source orb, it would be detectable.
This is where I get most of my feedback is when I tell everybody my philosophy on orbs. When one floats up to me and says, "Hey, Raj, I'm an orb," or if it floats up to me and turns into a full-blown apparition, I will count it as evidence. Until that happens, it's dust or a bug or moisture.
Well, it could be a very well ghost of a fairy for all I know. And I don't mean the ones from San Francisco. I mean, but that doesn't do me no good if you're trying to prove to me that human spirits are lingering. See, that's part of the problem with ghost hunting, too, is they're just looking for any kind of a power tick. Well, how do we know that's not the ghost of my electric bill from 1978? You got to kind of be a little more specific on what you're looking. Are you looking for apparitions? Are you looking for interaction? Are you looking to be touched? I mean, these people that go into these places and claim to be scratched 3 times that there's a demonic entity there. I say bullshit. You saw that on a TV show once. Somebody made up that explanation and you bought it. Now, I got news for you. Yeah, sometimes mysterious marks show up on people. But
that actually happened on a bridge out in the country in the next town over from here. Me and some friends went out there, and we were me and the girl that got scratched were standing on the bridge looking down at the river. I had a recorder running. We're just talking. All of a sudden, she jumped back and said, "Something just touched me and it burns." And she pulled up her shirt and claw marks appeared on her back. I got pictures of it. This actually happened.
That's one of those instances where I would have to see the incident happen myself, and she would have to be on video the entire time. I would have to see that she hadn't been earlier scratching at her back or, moved up against something earlier, and now all of a sudden it's irritating her.
The reason that I believe it actually happened like it did is because when she pulled up her shirt, they were just little red marks. I literally watched them turn into whelps and break blood as I was taking pictures of them.
Well, that's a little creepy, but that still doesn't mean that that's some kind of demonic entity from hell.
No, I'm not saying
because now all of a sudden you're talking about okay, ghosts are real, entities are real, they can interact with you. Now we've also proven God and Satan all at the same time.
I'm not saying it was a demon. I'm not one of these people that calls everything demonic, okay?
Yeah, but no, you catch my drift, though. What I'm talking about from what I see of the paranormal world is really on TV and on Facebook. So these are the things that I see come out of these worlds. So those are really the only basis that I have. The same way that you guys only see, Finding Bigfoot and whatever farce, History Channel wants to make up.
That whole Finding Bigfoot thing.
I like Finding Bigfoot more so when they go to different countries.
And I actually watched a video of them in another country. Oh, matter of fact, they were in the Himalayas because they went to where the Bigfoot hand is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, it's good for entertainment, but all I ever hear is maybe a sound every now and then. Hey, what is that? Is that Bigfoot? But they don't never actually show Bigfoot.
That's because it's definitely TV, and they're just showing you techniques, areas, people's stories. That's really what 90% of the show is. Only 10% of them actually out in their night investigations, and that's more for entertainment than anything else.
And that's exactly what I figured.
But to get back to the ghost stuff, the ghost stuff is just getting to be so sensationalized now that any of these locations that people have been on TV from, all of a sudden now they want to charge a fee for somebody to come and investigate it. So if I want to go to the Waverly Hotel and investigate, I've got to pay $250, even if it's just me and the wife that want to go down there and check it out. But they're assuming, well, it doesn't matter if you're a team or if you're just 2 people. You're going to pay $250 a night to have the privilege to investigate it here. And it's like, wait, what?
Waverly Hills Sanatorium. I went there. It was $100 a head in groups of so many.
Mm-hmm.
But now I have to say, in their defense, now we did an overnight for like 8 hours for that $100, and they did not make us stay with the group that we went in with. Now, if they said, you got to stay with your group and you do that, no.
Well, if you've got a bunch of groups of different freaking people wandering around the sanitary. How the hell do you
90%,
know? How the hell you know what's in this? That's just stupid.
90% of them are thrill seekers. They don't know anything about what's going on. They just hope
No.
to see something or
Yeah,
whatever.
I see these memes on these pictures on Facebook. You know, these memes, whatever, however y'all want to freaking pronounce it these days. Um, where would you stay in this house for 30 days for $1 million? It's like hell
No
for $1 million.
internet, no
I'll
TV.
move in that bitch for 6 months. I ain't got no problem living with a ghost. Look, here's the way it goes, Mr. Ghost. Bang your chain, stomp up and down the stairs all you want to. You can't hurt me, I can't hurt you. Screw it. It's all good. I ain't going nowhere for 45 days till I get my $1,000,000.
The
So
thing about me is, if you show me like a big creepy Victorian house and say, "Would you stay in here?" Um, all night for $100,000 or whatever. I'm like, I'd stay in there for free.
yeah, I'd move in there. Let me. Can I bring my stuff? Like
Can
stay
I?
there permanently.
Can I do I have only get one night, or can I stay for a week?
There's a lot of these out here in California. In the area that I'm in Sacramento here, and the area around Sacramento is a very, very old area because this is where the gold fields were. This is where all the gold miners would come from all the gold fields around here and bring that money into Sacramento, or that money would flow into San Francisco if they got them from the gold fields below us. But this is where America was founded. It wasn't founded back east. It was really founded on the gold find of 49. And all the money that came out of the Western territories is what built the railroads and everything else that brought any kind of technology to the country. And I didn't really, again, from being born back east, didn't really understand the Western. I didn't understand how important California and Arizona. I was like, it's the West. Who gives a shit? We didn't even colonize that until, after we were killing the Indians off. And I am an Indian, so don't, I'm not taking that in jest. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. I hear about the Jews all the time. Yeah, they killed 3 million Jews, and that's horrible. But they killed 100 million of my people, and nobody talks about it. Anyhow, back to ghosts. I would definitely stay in one of those places for as long as I needed to for the cash. But again, it's all fun and games until the ghost actually shows up. I watched all those ghost shows. I watched the ass clowns from Vegas. I love the one guy. The Zach is a douche. Aaron Goodwin is a good guy.
I like Aaron.
I see all the time where Aaron Goodwin at Christmas time is buying toys for needy kids, and he's got his program, his Big Steppin' program. That's a huge freaking charity that goes out there. I don't see jack shit from Zach. Zach doesn't do dick because he says, I'm a superstar. No, you're a douchebag who looked good on TV for a couple of seasons, and now you just look like a clown. Aaron, not everything's a demon, and you know it. It's time to separate and get to better things. You're the actual better part of that show. Anyhow, I know his sister Amy, too. She's a wonderful girl. She goes to all the paranormal stuff and sells Aaron's Big Steppin' stuff while she's out there in her rad stuff. Oh, she's got some good stuff on her. She's a great photographer, too. Anyhow, I watched all those shows for all those years in the hopes that just one time, a ghost would come out and go, "Bah!" and scare the living shit out of me. But I'm still waiting because, other than the flying 2x4 that was a complete setup.
And that was in the original show, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was their original documentary. That's what got them the show in the first place. Yeah, other than the flying 2x4, I've never been convinced of anything that Grant's shirt and jacket getting yanked on during that friggin' Halloween special was so set up it was ridiculously retarded. I hear he's returned to Ghost Hunters again. Woohoo! Nobody cares. Yeah, so that's what I heard. I don't know. I don't watch the show.
Well, I know he was supposed to do one with them, but I didn't know that he was
the fat guys with the trailer that would yank around those plantations down there in the south. I liked those. Ghost Lab, I think it was called.
The Blink Brother, something with a B.
Yeah, them guys. I liked that show. It ain't come back. But you still got the ghost douches on the friggin' air. I mean, just, come on. It's time, people. I like that Ghost Lab, guys. I hope they're still out there doing that. I really do. See, here would be my thing, is I would want a show. I don't want to be on TV. I've been approached plenty of times through the Bigfoot people, and I put it out there pretty firmly that unless you're going to be able to pay me $50K and it's only going to take about 3 weeks' time, I'm not interested. because you're going to make me lose money if I do anything else. So I'm not interested in losing money to be on TV. I don't need that kind of thing. However, if you want to make a series about something, I would definitely be interested in that, because as soon as the series would be canceled, I would immediately continue filming it and put it on YouTube. Might have to call it something else, but it would be the same premise and layout.
Right,
I mean,
right.
it would. I would take it right to these shows that get canceled on television, and they've got a bunch of money sitting in their pocket from that season. They need to consider, hiring a couple of decent camera guys, and you're back in business, making money on YouTube.
You're just not doing it to a network that's ripping you from
Every 100,000 views is a paycheck. That's really what it comes down to. So you see these things with 6 million views, that's that's probably, $4 grand, $5 grand worth of money on a video that big. So, anyhow, that's why we're here. That's why we're doing the YouTube thing now. Everything's wonderful. I like the format, Roger. I think this is going to be fun for you. You don't have to worry about pleasing anybody but you and your fans, and that makes me happy for you.
Well, I have some really loyal friends, and they're here tonight because I'm doing this. That to me is what it's all worth. And I love talking about Bigfoot, the paranormal, and anything strange and unusual. It's just my thing. But when you have people that care about you, okay, and they come to listen to your shows and stuff because they care about you and they like what you do, and that makes it all worthwhile. Not how much money you can make, or I'm not saying that's a bad thing. If I made a dime off of it, good for me. But that's not the main reason why I do this stuff.
No, and that's exactly. I don't do my show for the money either. The money comes because we have a good show and we're entertaining. We do the show because we love this kind of stuff. It's our outlet. It's our hobby.
Exactly. Now,
and the money's just kind of, and it's not gobs of money. If you listen to our the end of our Bigfoot Entertainment Weeklies, we have WTF Theater, and one of the comments is, "Follow us to Mexico while we spend hundreds of dollars in YouTube monetization." Because you'll make hundreds of dollars after months and months of work. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. It's not a way to get rich at all. But my wife was like, I'm surprised that you've stuck with it as long as you have, and I'm surprised at how much money you actually make from it. I mean, when I look at my YouTube statement at the end of the year, it's considerable. It is actually, probably 20% of my salary, and that's pretty decent when you come to just doing a show for the love of the fans. So thanks everybody for listening to me babble tonight live. Y'all can catch me live on Wednesday nights on youtube.com/S Lounge Podcast. And you can watch us at right around 8 p.m. on Wednesday nights. We do the Squatchers Lounge podcast with my co-host, Dr. David Batdorf Esquire. Yeah, we added Esquire this year. That's right. He's my co-host. He's my super science geek. And we do the show on Monday nights because we're going to be doing that here in just about 90 minutes ourselves. Bigfoot Entertainment Weekly. This week's feature was Night Claws, the Bigfoot movie, and it was absolutely fantastic. So you can watch our review of such thing and follow along. That is definitely an adult program. Monday nights is 18 and up. Sorry, kids, if you're watching. We don't worry about the language on our 18 and up shows.
So the Night Claws is actually a good movie?
Oh, it's watchable. It's very watchable. They're all watchable. But I root for the Bigfoot. I always root for the Bigfoot. I just want to see him kill all the humans. It's just, but yeah, this one has some serious gore, some nice kills. I mean, if you're a horror fan, it's a good watch.
Okay, that's what I was asking. Basically, is it one that's going to keep you on the edge of your seat?
Because I literally have to get off the air with you and put that movie on so that I can finish watching it before my show starts at 8 o'clock.
Okay,
that's how close I'm cutting it this night.
I wanted to tell everybody, go subscribe to Jeffrey's YouTube channel. There's a lot of good stuff on there. We appreciate everybody coming and listening and watching. Considering I keep forgetting that we're doing this as a live video, so I keep saying listening.
Well, it's good though, because you're much more relaxed now at the end of the show than you were at the beginning of the show.
Yeah. For coming and watching though and hanging out with us, we had a good time. Sorry I couldn't stay over there and chat with y'all like I normally did, but
You'll get that part figured out. You can do that, but you just got to figure out how to.
yeah. Hey, for the
That's
first go around, though, I think we did a really good job.
sounds
Jeffrey,
like a fun show to me.
you're an awesome dude. A lot of good information, and I love the ghost stuff that you told.
I,
Was,
I got a whole lot more. God, that's only getting me up till I was about 9. I mean, I could tell you stories from high school and college that'll probably curl your toes. So we'll have to get into that another night. I'd love to come back.
well, it takes a pretty good bit to curl my toes, but hey, if you think you can do it, we'll do this again soon, and you
The
can.
succubus is the one that, yeah, we'll talk about that one night.
Okay. In fact, one of the investigations that we have coming up, uh, we have thought may be involved with the succubus. So we're gonna we'll have to
I
see
had a
how that all
first-hand
works.
experience with one of them crazy, creepy things, and it ain't what it turned out that everybody thinks it is for me.
Or not a
Anyway,
succubus, but an incubus. I'm
well,
sorry.
that's just the opposite of that. So yeah, I'd love to come back after that sucker. We'll talk one night.
But we'll do this again. We're going to let Jeffrey get off here and take care of his business. Thanks, everybody, for coming. You were listening and watching Half Past Dead Paranormal Radio live on YouTube.
Half Past Dead Paranormal Radio coming at you like a knife in the face.
Come back next Monday night. We have Kevin Malik and Jennifer Scalesi. I think I pronounced that right. And we're going to be talking about something new in the paranormal field called paracryptozoology. And I've never heard of that before, so I'm very interested to find out what that's all about.
So would I. I'll have to tune in live and maybe be in the chat.
Yeah, you need to come in and check that one out. But same time, same channel. We will see y'all next week. Good night, everybody.
Yeah.